Who won or set themselves up to win some position battles this spring? We'll talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. Happy Monday. I am Brandon Olsen. Thank you for everybody also that tuned in on Friday. We had a bonus episode come out with Locked On Canes host Alex Dano. And just remember, he's not like us. Game off, we got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with your friends with tournaments or in tournaments to unlock awesome prizes, unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis to taunt your friend. I like to talk trash, so I love them. Download Monopoly Go now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. And like I said, today we're talking about which Florida Gators either won, or I believe won, or put themselves in decent position to win a position battle on the starting lineup this fall. And we're starting with the star position because I did want to remind everybody, Locked On Gators subtext group, if you want to be an insider there, go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. Links in the description below. We've been putting out these evaluations of the spring game, and I think the player that impressed me the most considering what my expectations were, well, first, Gregory Smith, because my expectations were to be horrible, and he wasn't. But also Sharif Denson. And when we talk about the star position, I've said it before, I think it's the most difficult position outside of quarterback. And I'll die on that hill. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I think star is or just nickel, whatever you want to call the position. I think it's the second hardest position or the hardest position outside of quarterback. Jaden Hill started there last year, hit the transfer portal, is now at Texas A&M. So the Florida Gators will see him in week 3, I believe it is. It's Miami, Samford, and then I believe Texas A&M. And they're looking to replace him with a young nickel. That's it. It's Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates, Josiah Davis. Josiah Davis is very much on the outside looking in. He played on both the blue and orange teams during the spring game last month. Gets him some experience in game situation again because he was mostly a safety in high school, playing more of the star spot now. Going to be a bit of a learning curve. Sharif Denson was a corner in high school, and Aaron Gates was, I believe, also Aaron Gates was a corner that moved last year. They both, Sharif Denson and Aaron Gates, moved from corner to star. And it's, again, there's a big learning curve at that position. It is an incredibly difficult position to play. Like I said, I played and started as both a safety and a corner throughout when I played football. And my Lord, when I tried to play in the slot, things did not go my way. I just want to throw that one out there. Hell of a position to play. I do not have the agility to play it. And it's as simple as that. It's a very tough position to play. When Jaden Hill made the move from outside corner to star going into the 2023 season, I remember saying that I wasn't sure if he could do it just because I'm not sure he has the lateral agility to make that move. And that position, you have to be able to do everything. You have to be able to defend the run. You have to be able to cover a tight end. You have to be able to cover a slot receiver. You got to be able to cover running backs. You have to be able to do everything. So you have to sit in the zone. It's tough as hell to play. And if you watch the spring game, you see Sharif Denson do every one of those things and like do it naturally and fluidly. He had a really, really good spring game and a strong spring camp in general. I'm not just like, oh, he had a good spring game, give him the starting spot. Sharif Denson had a strong spring camp in general. So for Sharif to now move into the star role and hopefully start at that role, he also played a pretty good game against Florida State last year. He deserves it, in my opinion. I think he's won it. Like, I think this is one of those times where, like, the next position that we talk about is going to be an I think he's going to be in position to win it. This one is, I think Sharif Denson won the starting spot at star. And I think he deserves it. again, good game against Florida State last year, which was, I believe, his most significant playing time, unless he played a lot against like McNeese State or Charlotte. But for the most part, Sharif Denson rotated in occasionally, played a lot against Florida State, played well against Florida State, had a strong spring camp. I remember it was, I think, the first or second scrimmage where the reports were coming out that he had a great game, and then you look at the spring game, and dude was basically lined up like an edge rusher on a bunch of his snaps in the spring game. He was lined up against the tight end very frequently, and he handled it I even on Saturday, we put out the report for Arlo Sportingham in the spring game, and I remember writing that Sharif Denson rerouted him completely, like stuff like that, where you can reroute a guy like Arlo Sportingham, and then you can cover someone like Eugene Wilson III on the very next play. Stuff like that, you can't take it for granted. It's just an insane thing to be able to do. And I'm not saying that Sharif Denson can come out and be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, or that Sharif Denson can come out and just do that consistently every single play, every single week in, week out. I am saying that I think that he's done enough to earn that opportunity to do that, to get that starting spot and be able to do that week in and week out, whether or not it works. But I think Sharif Denson won that battle. I think Aaron Gates is clearly star two. They will both play. Josiah Davis, I don't know how much he plays. Again, freshman, so I'm not sure how much he's going to play regardless. But I think that given all the reports that came out of spring camp, given the film that was put out against Florida State when they were mostly healthy, it was Jordan Travis that was hurt, but everybody else was there. Given that Sharif Denson had a very strong spring game, this is not a knock on Aaron Gates. This is not a knock on Josiah Davis. This is not a knock on anybody else at that star spot. This is that Sharif Denson has played at a high level against FSU in the spring game and had a great spring camp. All those signs point to he's probably going to be your starting star week one. And I hope he is. Again, this is one where I think he's done it, but I also hope he has. I want to see him do this. I want to see him start at star. So Sharif Denson for me is the guy that I'm like, all right, well, he's won that position battle. And again, Aaron Gates didn't play poorly. Josiah Davis didn't play poorly. It's just you're at a position battle with a guy who's balling right now. And things could change as the season goes on. But for now, I think Sharif Denson has won that battle, at least as it currently stands. We are about to clip to the offensive side of the ball for just this segment. Very different from how we've normally done things lately, or just how we've done things lately has been like I start with defense and I'm like, all right, offense to wrap up the show. No, we're going offense here, and then we're going to go back to defense. But before we talk about the offense, and it's a fun position to talk about. I think that a lot of people have had their eyes on this one. I want to say we're going to get a quick word from LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free on linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Just saying, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but are open for your opportunity in the perfect role. If that fits you, you can set it so that you're open for the right role. And the only people who can see that are outside recruiters. So you don't have to worry about like someone from your job seeing that you've got you don't have to put you're open for work. You could set it privately where people who are recruiting from the outside world can see that. So you can do it and be low key about it. I'm just saying. Just saying. LinkedIn knows that small businesses wear so many hats might not have time or resources to hire. So they're constantly finding ways to make the process easier for you because, again, it's not very easy to do, right? But LinkedIn makes it easier. Post your job for free, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the position that we're talking about offensively today, right guard. Which, Yeah, it's a fun position to talk about, but not exactly a fun position that people are really focusing on and watching frequently. I will also say this: offensive line is probably the toughest to evaluate outside of quarterback. Offensive line is probably the toughest to evaluate just because the average fan, the typical fan, whatever, uh, there's a lot that goes into it. If you're going to truly evaluate and judge it, you got to know what the blocking calls are, the blocking schemes, what their responsibilities are, and odds are you almost definitely don't know that. So it is hard to evaluate the offensive line. It's also just there's a lot that's looks bad or looks good and is bad or is good. But for Florida, you're looking for a new right guard because Micah Mazuka, who came in from Baylor, transferred out and is now at Nebraska. Micah Mazuka, once he got to Gainesville, there's just a lot going on. The shoulder injury, him saying he was going to hit the portal again, and then pulling himself, and then be like, I was just tripping. And it was just a lot that went on. And then he eventually did transfer out, and now he's at Nebraska, where it's reported that he might not even start there because he's not putting in the work there, and he's still having some of those issues. So it's a really fun time right now for Micah Mazuka. It's just there's unfortunate things going on. But to replace him, Florida's looking at Damian George, who was the starting right tackle last year, did not do well at it, and is now moving into guard, where I think everybody and their mother was like, hey, move him to guard, like last year. And he was kind of forced to play right tackle, did not play well there. Bryce Lovett, who is a freshman last year, is also in that spot to compete for the right guard spot. And if you want to throw Jason Santamella in there, you can. But again, I think he stays at center long term. I think Rod Kearney's more likely to move to guard, which even if you want to throw Rod Kearney in this spot, he hasn't been playing this spot. He's been playing mostly backup center. So I think right now this is one of those positions where I'm going, I don't think he's won the battle, but I think he's the favorite to win it right now, or that he's leading to win it right now. And that's Damian George. I know that all reports coming out of camp were that Bryce Lovett is really impressive and that the coaching staff likes what he's doing and all that. And again, they've been pretty openly positive about it. But I think that Damian George has the leg up right now. If it's Rod Kearney or Jason Zandamela competing for that spot, then if it's Rod Kearney, I'm open to it. If it's Jason Zandamela, I don't want a true freshman starting. That's just it's you got to be really good to start as a true freshman there. And also, like, I want to point this out just because a Miami fan was in the comments on Friday's show. Like, Francis Mauigoa started at right tackle and played excellent. No, he didn't. He started at right tackle, but he allowed 23 pressures and had 9 penalties. That's not playing excellent. And then the guy tried to reroute with, well, he played excellent for a true freshman. And I want to get this out there. You can say someone played excellent for a true freshman. That's fine. I'll even give you that with Francis Mauigoa. For a true freshman, sure. The thing is, he's not playing on the true freshman team. He's playing in just college football where you play everybody. So playing well for a true freshman really doesn't mean jack diddly, unless you're talking about future development and the projection. Yeah. That doesn't matter when we're talking about were you good? Yes or no. Had this conversation with Johnny Wilson from Florida State, 6'7" receiver. He separates well for a 6'7" receiver. Does he separate well, period? No. Okay, then that doesn't matter. Like, just want to throw that out. If you have to throw in like a little tagline to it, then congratulations, because you've already lost. Anyway, back to right guard. I just had to throw that one out there. Back to right guard. Damian George is making the move to right tackle, making the move from right tackle to right guard. And I will say this, I don't think he had a very good spring game. He was, I believe, the second spring game report that I wrote up. I think DJ Lagway was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think Damian George had a very good spring game. It's not to say he's terrible, horrible, can't have a good spring, or can't have a good fall, whatever, can't find success there. It's just, I don't think he's great. Hand placement is still an issue. Awareness in space is still an issue. Like, there were multiple times during the spring game that I remember writing that there was, I forgot who it was. It was a linebacker, but an off-ball blitzer just ran right at him and he still just whomp hands up high, and it was just it was bad. Like if you can't get proper hand placement when someone's running right at you, they're not doing a move, it's going to be really tough. He also still struggles to block in space when he was a puller out wide. Didn't work out for him. When he's a puller on power where he gets to stay working tucked in, it's fine. But when he's a puller out wide in a screen game, it doesn't work for him. He's just not good in space. He's not agile. Things like that. He did look better handling power. Like when Cam Jackson was trying to bull rush, he looked like he did better handling the bull rush. When Jamari Lyons, so there were some things where Damian George has improved upon, and I want to make that clear. I'm not saying that he's just terrible, horrible, and not worth it. He's improved as a run blocker. He's still pretty good. I like the way that he was working with double teams specifically. So he's done some good things. A couple of times he opened lanes as a run blocker. As a pass protector, he's still not good. And for a team where they're probably going to be throwing the football a good bit, you don't want someone who's not a very good pass protector. So I will say Damian George has improved from last year. I still don't think he's good, but he has improved from last year. And there's absolutely room to continue to grow. I don't think he did terrible. I don't think this position battle is settled definitively, though. I think that he's leading it right now. I think that he's kind of been placed in position to lead that with the experience that he has last year as a starter, with moving to guard and again, playing better than he did at tackle. Like I don't think anybody can argue that. He was really bad at tackle. I don't think he's good at guard. I don't think he's terrible at guard. I think he was improved. But he still has the same flaws that he had. It's just that they're easier to hide at guard, which again, if you can hide them at guard, then you can hide them at guard and you can make that a thing. But there's still some things I'm not super optimistic about. If Rod Kearney moves to guard and we have Bryce Lovett, Damian George, Rod Kearney competing, then whoever wins, wins. I think I've been very open about it. I don't necessarily care who wins. Like if I think Damian George should start and he doesn't, I'm not going to be super mad because, hey, it's not my decision. I'm not one that gets paid millions of dollars. I just want I want the coaching staff to put out the best group. And if Damian George is in there, which I think they think Damian George is that, then he's going to be out there. And so be it. We can have a conversation about that if things go poorly. But Bryce Lovett should rotate regardless. Like Bryce Lovett should be rotating in regardless. Florida's always had rotations on the offensive line. Bryce Lovett is at right guard is going to be one of those rotations, I think. I will also say, as far as Bryce Lovett goes, in the spring game, a few times he had his money taken from him. Just want to point that one out there. It's not like he played awesome and earned it. He also didn't play great. So that could be going with part of it. Just saying that one. We are about to go back to defense, back to the secondary as well as we talk about safety. It's a fun one. But first, a quick word for Monopoly Go. All right. Game off. We got to pause here. Talk a little bit about Monopoly Go, which I know you're saying flag on the play. You talked about that earlier in this episode, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. You know, in Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. Unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for even bigger prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, which, by the way, the boards include New York, New Orleans, Camelot, the Moon, everything in between. It's awesome. Just want to throw that one out there. It's awesome. If you like traveling, travel in Monopoly Go. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure, or a robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events too that help you win big prizes like massive multipliers for everything you win, or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And to wrap up today's show, we are taking a little dip at safety here. Defensively, like those are the spots that I think have kind of figured out who it's going to be. At safety, I think ASA Turner has earned the starting spot. ASA Turner, of course, came in from Washington. Talk about that in a second. Came in from Washington out of the transfer portal this year, competing with DJ Douglas, who came in from Tulane out of the transfer portal this year, and Bryce Thornton, who is a true freshman last year, who by the end of the year was starting, playing a ton of snaps. Had a couple of really good games. I keep pointing to the Vanderbilt game last year. I think Bryce Thornton balled out against Vandy. And I do think that he's going to play still consistently. I think Asa Turner has earned that starting spot already. Like I think that's done for the most part. I think it's now about figuring out, well, are Asa Turner and Jordan Castell going to play 85% of the snaps? We're going to rotate 15, 80, 20, whatever it's going to be. I think Asa Turner has earned that spot. I will say he obviously has a little bit of, I want to say a little bit of a head start compared to other transfers at safety because Will Harris, who's currently the Florida Gators secondary coach, recruited Asa at Washington, coached him. Like he's got that going for him. But one of the things that stood out to me during the spring game, which we haven't done the Asa Turner report yet, maybe we do it today, haven't decided yet, but haven't done the Asa Turner report yet. But noticing when I did the Greg Smith report, the Sharif Denson, like noticing when I was doing the other reports, Asa Turner communicating, like actively communicating in the secondary. He was someone who you could see he's turning, he's yelling, he's saying, obviously we don't know what he's saying, but he's turning, he's yelling, he's saying something because he's all the way to the back there. So he's yelling up to Jordan Castell, who is wearing the no contact jersey, but he's yelling up to Jordan Castell. He's communicating effectively and efficiently on the back end. That's something that I will always say I love. That was one thing where Scooby Williams last year at linebacker, I was like, look, Scooby's not good, but he does some of those intangible things of communicating openly, actively, and he's like letting you know he's being animated doing it. Whether he's throwing the diamond, whether he's doing the belly rub, whatever the calls are, he was doing it actively and loudly. And that's something that can't be stressed enough to have an active communicator at every level of the defense. Maybe not so much on defensive line, but secondary linebackers having active communication, huge. And a lot of the guys were communicating too. It's not like just Asa Turner, but Asa Turner was out there doing it more effectively, I think, than others. So Asa Turner there, I think, earned it. He, again, comes in with prior experience with the secondary coach, comes in with, I mean, he just started in the national championship game. So he's got that experience. He's been there, and I don't think he wants to not be there in his last year. So I'm fully expecting him to ball out. Just because, again, it's one of those things where you were there and you lost, and now I don't think that this is a playoff team in Gainesville, but I do think that he's like, I think he's going to have kind of a fire under him to try and get back there. And I think that Asa Turner, one thing he does or has is the versatility that's kind of required to unlock Jordan Castell. Jordan Castell last year played pretty well for the first 7 or 8 games and then kind of hit that freshman wall, which again, like hitting the freshman wall, we see it happen quite a bit. It happens a lot, even in the NFL. They hit the rookie wall. You hit the rookie wall or that freshman wall, rookie wall, whatever it is, usually when you've played more snaps or enough snaps that are more than you're used to. So for high school players, you hit the snap count basically that you played in high school, things get different. Rookies in the NFL, you hit the 13 game mark and it's like, well, we only played 12 in college, and then you hit that wall. And it happens a lot. I also think that one thing that kind of hurt him was not having a supporting cast around him that fits his skill set. And I think Asa Turner has the versatility required to unlock Jordan Castell more. You can play all around with what you've got in the secondary. You can blitz whichever one of them you want. You can move field box. Like, you don't have to worry about the field boundary there. I think they can both play both spots. Jordan Castell, I do think, doesn't get enough credit for how versatile he is, because I know that he gets the credit for being the Iron Man last year, playing like more snaps than anybody else on the defense. But however, he also like high school was playing corner in a man-to-man heavy scheme, or cover 1, cover 3 heavy, so they played a lot of man. Nick Saban wanted him to play linebacker for him, Alabama linebackers are incredibly light and small. We've seen that a lot. And then he's playing safety here. And also last year was his first year playing safety full time. So this is someone who has a ton of potential, just about actually unlocking it. As far as who didn't win the battle with DJ Douglas and Bryce Thornton, haven't written up the report for either of them. I will say DJ Douglas was on the field and in the general vicinity for both of the touchdowns that DJ Lagway threw in the spring game. And I will say that I think he was in my opinion, he was directly responsible for allowing the Taylor Spirito touchdown inside the 10-yard line. Because to me, that looked like RPO with man coverage. So I'm assuming DJ Douglas is in some kind of underneath zone. And DJ Douglas kind of creeps up way too much to the line and sits there. I think it was Aaron Gates got beat by Taylor Spirito on the slant, and it was just wide open there. But there's no reason for DJ Douglas to be 2 yards from the line of scrimmage there. Just didn't make sense. So I think that things like that are going to keep you out the game a little bit. And kind of when ASA Turner is not making those mistakes, and you are, issues there. And Bryce Thornton, I still think he's got a lot of room to grow. I think he has a lot of potential as well. That's what I'm saying by that. Not that he's terrible. I think he has a lot of potential still. But I think when you're talking about the experience that you can have with ASA Turner out there, I think it's pretty easy to sell why Bryce Thornton shouldn't be the starter with Asa Turner and Jordan Castell as the options there. But again, high ceiling for both, I think. But Asa Turner, probably going to be the starting safety. I think he's won that battle at this point. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33, and I will see you all next time.